Hello guys and gals, me Mutahara, and welcome to a special video. Now, last time we basically had a little talk about the deep web. I talked about red rooms, and I don't really like doing a whole lot of these vloggy style things, but today I figured I could teach you something, and, well, I definitely do owe it to a friend of mine that I used to work with to tell you this little tip. Now, we've done quite a fair bit of deep web episodes, and inside it is such a interesting topic in a way to actually talk about. You're going onto this internet that's anonymous, you're seeing the internet for not, for what it really is entirely. You go into sites that are not normally indexed, and there is a danger to it. And a lot of people like to scare individuals and say, well, you know what, don't access the deep web, it's scary. No, I'm a person that likes it when people go onto things that they really should be going into. I like it when people experience something new and try. I don't want to fucking scare people. Now, I was speaking to, my friend, and he said that, Mutahara, you made quite a fair bit of videos, but you never really told anyone not to really use Windows. Now, there's a reason why you shouldn't, and why I'm telling you to switch. Now, the reason why you should not use Windows is because Windows is the most popular operating system out on the market. A lot of people who use their PCs use Windows. You're probably watching this on a Windows computer. Some of you I know may be watching it on a MacBook. You all are pretty much safe for the most part, and I'll tell why later on. And if you're watching this on Linux, you're probably safe. Some of you are watching this on a tablet, like an iPad. If it's an iPad, you're definitely safe. If it's an Android tablet, you're safe. You're good. Windows is the only one that I'm really putting into this mix over here. The reason why is, again, it is the most popular. More than 90% of the market, I'm pretty, I don't know what the exact specs are, but I think it's like 85-90% of the market actually uses Windows. And that is why hackers specifically code for Windows, because that is the primary target that they're going for. It's not to say that Microsoft Windows is bad. No, Microsoft Windows is actually very, very good. Case in point is it has a lot of stuff built into its kernel. It's not, a kiddie operating system. Microsoft knows what they're doing. They add security all the time. But if you have a good amount of hackers onto it, they're going to crack the security no matter what. Any security can be cracked. Case in point, you see a lot with video game developers. They try creating new arbitrary forms of, DRM, but it gets cracked almost instantly upon release. There's some exceptions, obviously, to the rule, but that's how it goes, generally. And that's what goes with anything computer related. You have experts on both sides. Experts doing good, experts doing bad. Windows is by no means bad. It's just targeted the most. OS X, Linux are Unix-based kernels. They're different OS architectures, and inherently by their design, they're a little more secure and less prone to major loopholes you'd see on a Windows system. That's about the layman terms I can give, okay? I'm not going to go too tech-savvy into it. So, why should you use Linux? Again, it's inherently by design, I would say it is more secure, and Windows is more susceptible for you to be tracked, for you to have an exploit, through it. And if you're using Linux, especially this version, Tails, you're pretty much in the safest ballpark you can be. Okay, so don't worry about what people may scare you with. Serial killers will track you down. Hitmen will find out where you live. Don't worry. I'm alive. And I've seen some, pretty depraved shit. So don't worry. I'm alive. Okay, that's all I can really say. But, that being said, let's go into this right now. So number one, you're going to want to have a flash drive. This is a 16 gig flash drive I picked up for about $25. You can probably get them cheaper. All right. You don't need a 16 gig, by the way. You can get an 8 gig, a 4 gig at least. And you're going to want to have one of these. All right. You need one of these. This is like, what is this? Like a Hip Street thing? I don't even know what it is. Yeah, it's Hip Street. I know what it is, but it's just, it's not, no fancy USB. Okay. So you're going to want to go to the site, and I'll leave all the sites in the description below. So step number one, go over here and get Tails. Now, Tails is not, from Sonic the Hedgehog. This is not that Tails. Fuck that Tails. Okay? This is an operating system based off of the Debian Linux kernel. And over here, this is built exclusively for Tor access, I2P, all that stuff. You're going to go over here and hit download. And in download, you're going to go get the Tails 1.6 ISO image. If you're watching this video maybe a year from now, it's probably updated to like version 2 or 3. Get that one, okay? this video will change with the times. What I would recommend is you get the torrent download of it. And the reason I would say you get the torrent download of it, because it actually does verify the ISO image while you're downloading it. And why do I say that? Because if you just download anything off the internet, you could be prone to what we would call an MIM attack, or man-in-middle. That means even if you're on a site that is legit, you could have an active connection tampering with you, right? Feeding you a file that may look the same, but not necessarily the same. It may have code built into it that may be malicious, dangerous to your computer, viruses. So be very careful. That's what I recommend you use BitTorrent to get it, because you can actually set it to verify that ISO image while you're downloading it. And don't be an asshole, seed back once you're done. Basic tips right there. After you're done doing that, you're going to go to the site called unetbooten.github.io. I will leave this in the description below. This is what you're going to use to make what we call a live USB. What that is basically taking that ISO image, burning it onto a flash drive so you can boot into this, right? Because remember, this is a different operating system. It's not a program you're downloading. It's a whole system. You're going to load it off the USB, browse your deep web, and after you're done, you're going to shut down the computer, pull the stick out, and you're done. You're going to go over here and download for whatever system you have. I'm going to get it for Windows. If you have Linux, get it for Linux. If you're using a Mac, get it for a Mac. Simple as that. So once you have the Windows version downloaded, you're going to start it up. Hey, just give me 1 second here. Hold on, unetbooten. And it is going to do its little installs. And not an install, it's actually just starting up right here. Now in unetbooten, if I can just keep it right there, you're going to go and hit disk image, right? And you're going to make sure this is set to ISO, not floppy, because we're not installing a floppy, okay? If anybody remembers what a floppy is by now, you know why we're not installing it to it. This is not a 3 megabyte file. We're going to hit ISO. We're going to hit these little ellipses, the stuff you see in JRPG. When Sephiroth goes really apeshit, sometimes you'll see 2 back to back. You're going to hit those. You're going to go to downloads or whatever you downloaded to. Gotta blur the screen because there's some pictures over here that I do not want anyone to see. Once you've done that, you're basically going to go to type USB drive, and you're going to find the USB that you plugged into your computer before you actually started the program. You're going to select that, and you're going to hit OK. All right? And at that point, this is going to take a little while, most likely about half an hour maybe. But after that's done, you basically have a live USB. See, it's that easy. Now, once that is done, it's time to get this started on your computer. So now you're going to shut down the computer. And let me tell you how this is going to work. Now, when you start up your computer, the best way to describe this is if you have a store-bought computer like a Dell or an HP, when you start the computer and you see that Dell logo show up initially, or the HP logo, or whatever other brand you may have, Lenovo, I don't know. And if you've built your own computer, you might see a manufacturer screen come up, like an Asus screen, right? Or whatever other manufacturer board you get, I don't know. Aside, if you have a Mac, I really have no idea how to get that working, because I have a Mac, I have 2 of them. I've never ran any OS aside from Mac OS X on them. I use them for primarily work and nothing else. I don't bother with that. So while you're doing that, first of all, that's called a BIOS, Basic Input Output System. You're going to find a key. Now, typically, it's F8 on your keyboard, F9, or delete, or sometimes it's like F11 and F12. Your BIOS will tell you. It shows up for a split second, so pay attention for where they say a boot menu, or what they call that. And you're going to make sure you spam that key, right? Like when you're playing a video game and you're spamming buttons, you're going to spam that key like crazy. And then a list should come up. And at this point, you have to have your USB plugged in. Before you even do that, you have to make sure this is plugged in when you're powering on your computer. Once that menu comes up, you have to find what your USB is and hit enter. And if all else goes well, if you've done everything right up to this point, then you should see this screen. Now, obvious jump cut is very obvious. I am here to show you what Tails looks like. Now, of course, I'm using a virtual machine to record this for you, to actually show it to on YouTube. Don't actually use a virtual machine, otherwise you may just defeat the purpose of doing this entirely. I'm going to load up the... Hold on, what is this? Yeah, just hit continue booting. Wait, oh, not really typing in. You'll see this screen, which is boot Tails. Now, in this screen, you have what we call a live and a live failsafe. If the live don't work, the failsafe will. Now, one thing I actually do over here is if you want to use I2P for whatever reason, you're actually just going to type in I2P. Basically, you're going to enable this like I did, just follow the instructions at the bottom. Just type I2P at the end, and you're going to hit start. If you don't want to use I2P, just hit live. I'm just going to do it, you know, as a be-all, end-all sort of thing. And at that point, you're going to go running through all this gibberish over here. Just sit back, relax. This is Linux booting up in its own natural habitat. You're going to see this little blue bar streak across the screen over here. And it's basically just loading up its entire system. And you just, you know, give it the time it needs. Give it whatever, you know. Get it a coffee if it needs it, I don't know. At that point, you have finally entered Tails, and you are safe. You are not using Windows anymore. You are on Linux. Now, if you want to go back to Windows, if you're using your computer necessarily, just shut this. In fact, you know, you're just going to shut it down like you would a regular computer. Pull the USB out, put it somewhere else, and you're safe. As far as I know, this does not ever deal with, you know, your hard drives and whatnot on your main computer. But then again, I don't use this on my main computer at all. I have a separate computer just for, you know, using deep web stuff. But now once it starts up, you'll notice that you'll see this screen over here. It says, welcome to Tails. Would you like more options or no? Most people would pick no, but, you know, I'll show you the more options regardless. You'll hit forward, and it's going to ask you a bunch of stuff. Do you want to have an administrative password? If you want to perform pseudo tasks, don't deal with it. You're not going to be using, you know, administrative tools. It has Windows camouflage, so, you know, if you're out and about and you don't want people to know you're using Tails, you can use this to camouflage your computer. We're not going to deal with it. And then there's MAC address spoofing. It basically hides your actual network card by changing your MAC addresses. Keep that on. That's going to be necessary. And just hit login. Now, at that point, you're going to notice another blue screen. You're going to wait for a little bit, and here it is. And we're going to get rid of these alerts, by the way. God, they're giving me some massive OCD. And it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to say virtual machine detected. Of course, I'm using a virtual machine to show you all what I'm doing. But you're probably not going to use it. At that point, once it starts, it's going to synchronize the system clock, because Tor does need a synced system clock to do it with. You're going to wait for a little while, okay, because it's going to go through all of its startup drama. So just wait, give it time, don't pester it, don't do anything, and you'll be set. At this point, you are using a new system. This is not Windows. You can't run EXEs on it. You can download those deep web videos, those deep web documents, open them up on their PDF viewers over here, and you're not infecting any other system so far. As far as I know, this does not access your actual drives. But then again, just be totally careful. So now once it starts, you'll notice that the system is ready to go. You can go to Applications, and you can notice some accessories. It has some, you know, standard text editors, some graphic editors. Here we go. And you're going to go to the Internet tab. Now, as you can see, it has Claws Mail, Electrum Bitcoin Wallet. It even has a Bitcoin wallet for it. I really wouldn't use the Bitcoin wallet on here. Actually, you know, would recommend something else. You have the I2P browser, and then you have Tor. You're going to open up Tor browser, and it's going to say Tor is not ready. Start Tor browser anyways. We're going to wait a little bit. Of course, I'm jumping a little too ahead of myself. And that's about it. That's all you really need to worry about. In fact, it even has one of these like touch keyboards or whatever. Yeah, we're not going to deal with that. And you should be good. I'm just going to do an obvious jump cut to when the Tails browser will let me start up Tor. So at this point, once you have Tor started, and at that point we actually had a notification. There's a lot of jump cuts in the video for sure because it's having a bit of issues just getting stuff started. It's a little slow, obviously on a VM. My actual here you go. You got the I2P is ready notification, meaning you can actually use the I2P nodes. But over here, you have opened up the Tor browser, and you can actually use it to browse for anything. So let's go look for cookies real quick. And as you can see, it works entirely. There's actually, is there something? No, it's just people asking about, you know, computer cookies. But anyways, as you can tell, we are actually on the deep web using Linux, and this is a far safer way to actually use it. So I hope this video has been informative. I personally, as a little disclaimer, I don't actually use Tails myself. For the other people who are wondering what I use, I'm actually going to show it to you real quick. I actually use, truth be told, is Kali Linux. And this is, an entirely different piece of Linux. This is what, pen testers use. This contains all the premier hacking utilities that any script kiddie could want. Or I'm just joking. It's actually good. It's people use this, to test, computer security settings, to test network security and all that kind of stuff. I use this, but I don't want to get into the whole theatrics of zeroing out hard drives, partitioning and all that kind of stuff. So this Tails is the easiest way to operate it, and I highly recommend it. If you want to access the deep web, use Tails. Okay, it is the best way to do it. It runs off a flash drive or a CD, DVD, and that's all you need to worry about it. Not a big issue. That's all you really want to use on it. Now that being said, this has been an informative video on why you shouldn't use Windows on the deep web. I hope it has been informative. If there's any other question you need asked, just PM me, shoot me an email, and I'll try to respond in a very timely manner. There's an influx of them, so I try to respond as fast as I can. And that's all you need to worry about. So that's been a little informative thing. Some people have asked me on the topic, and I've tried to explain it the best way I can. I'm not going to keep it here too long. I'm looking at the raw time code on the video. It's pretty freaking long already. And I hope that you have learned something today. And I hope I have been good at telling you this kind of stuff. But anyways, Halo 5 is out, and I got to play more of that. And that being said, this has been a deep web video. A little help on this, a little, information given, proper information, a little, tip to help you stay safe. I do always want to watch out for people doing it. I don't want anybody to get into, big trouble because of this, or, God forbid if somebody tracks them down, get off. I don't know. It's not going to happen. That being said, LSD is coming up a short while after this video. I don't know how long the renders are going to take. That being said, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't even know why I blanked out there. This is me, Mudahar, and I am